This is Matt for Into Boxing. Delighted to be joined by trainer Jimmy Moore. Jimmy, we're here for Chantelle Camerons' media day before she heads out to Abu Dhabi for Undisputed clash against Jessica McCaskill. Talk to me about Chantelle. Is this her time to shine? Women's boxing's on a big high at the minute. She's got a good platform. How much are you looking forward to this trip?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Obviously, Chantelle's been waiting for Undisputed for a while now. Obviously, a little bit frustrated in the past with Callie Reese not being fit to fight, and it's dragged on. But fortunately for us, Eddie's pulled the strings, and he's made it possible that she can get Undisputed against Jessica. Jessica's coming back down, and Chantelle should have boxed her a few years ago, really, when she was mandatory at super lightweight, and then Jessica moved up, become Undisputed at welterweight, and now she's coming back down. So eventually they've ended up fighting. But I think, in terms of the Undisputed, Chantelle versus Callie Reese or Chantelle versus Jessica, this fight's on paper is so much more exciting and competitive than the Callie Reese fight.
Yeah, you mentioned excitement there. I think we know the type of style obviously Jessica will bring into this fight. Is this the type of fight where we're going to see the best of Chantelle? Because she'll get everything tested in there and she'll be able to show more of an arsenal of everything she's got. Is this the type of thing where she sort of becomes a real star on that night? Yeah,
definitely. I think Chantelle in the past has not, she's dominated opponents for the vast majority of the time, even at world level. So you don't get to see the best of her because she's in cruise control. She's sort of in the driving seat. This fight in particular is going to bring the best out of her, because we all know Jessica's best attribute is that intensity. She's phenomenally determined, strong puncher. She'll come and have it. Technically she's not great, but the subtleties in there I've noticed when I'm watching her. She's not just an all out and out brawler. She has got some little nice little subtleties. So Chantelle is more of the technician, but listen, don't sleep on Chantelle being being behind the door in terms of having a fight and being aggressive. She loves having a fight. The only reason we've not seen it as much is because I contain her a lot and I hold her back. But if I let her go, if I say to her, go and have it with Jessica, you'll see like a psychotic smile on her face. She'll love it.
It's the type of fight that gets you motivated as a trainer, because like you've said there, Chantelle can have a way with a lot of fighters in the ring, but this is the fight where you get to pit your wits against some of the best fighters in the division as well, and you've got a young charge in Chantelle who's taking it all by storm and everything in her stride. Is this sort of the thing that gets you going as a trainer from your point of view?
I love being involved in obviously big fights, but in terms of like setting game plans out and structuring the training for it, it's pretty much the same as every other fight, except there's a bit more detail involved. I don't sort of do more for this fight than I do for anybody else boxing for a British title or a 10-rounder. Or it's the detail in the work is always the same regardless. So Chantelle's such a dedicated athlete. It's easy. It's easy for me. In fact, every fighter in this gym is so easy to work with, because it makes my job 10 times easier when I go and look at a fight, look at the opponent, sort of map out how we go about it, what we're going to do, and then they just absorb it and soak it all in and are able to carry it out. Just makes my job 10 times easier.
There must be some subtle changes you make though for each fighter. You mentioned not really change, but there must be some subtle things that you change. Whether it be
I don't mean in game plans. I'm on about in terms of the way I go about it. Of course. Every fight's I apply myself to each fight exactly the same, regardless of whether it's an undisputed title fight or whether it's a 6-rounder in a small or show, because that could be as important to somebody as this fight is to Chantelle. So everyone gets treated the same. Just because Chantelle's fighting for Undisputed, she ain't got a special treatment. She might get a little bit more special treatment because she's a bit of a diva, and that's why she's 25 minutes late. But we'll let her off for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of boxing, it's had a bit of a bad rep recently with things that are coming out, whether it's a big fight not getting made or a failed test. We saw a women's boxing card at the weekend, which was outstanding, with a main event and a co-main event, which really sort of, I thought, it's what boxing needed, and especially for the female aspect of the game. What did you make of the card as a whole? It was good to watch, and obviously it bodes well for Chantelle, who's obviously carrying the torch for women's boxing as well.
Yeah, of course. Phenomenal card. Like you say, the co-main event and the main event was unbelievable fights. really good advert for boxing. And I think we've got to get away from now women's boxing and boxing. Similar to UFC, if it's a good UFC fight, you don't say it's a good UFC women's fight, it's just a great fight. Yeah. And we're getting to that point with boxing now. I think the only way we'll actually get over that hurdle properly is to bring it all into line and go 12 threes for title fights. Yeah. And we actually asked for this fight. We wanted 12 threes. We wanted to go to championship level. That's what it should be. Yeah. It should be championship level. It shouldn't be women's championship level and men's. It should be across the board the same. So I think we're getting there, and I think that will probably be the last hurdle we need to get over before we go, right, okay, let's get away from this women's boxing and men's boxing. It's all the same sport, and it should be all on a level playing field.
Yeah, because the female side to the game, then, if we say it like that, the reason it's sort of getting the push as well is the best seem to fight the best. Yeah. There's no, we're waiting this long. I mean, I'm hoping I'm going to be around to see the Spence and Crawford fight, because these fights don't get made. So from that point of view, how much of a bonus is it that we're seeing these fights?
I just think that defending the men in a way, the depth of quality in talent isn't there in women's boxing at the moment. It will be eventually because it's so popular now, and I've got an amateur boxing club, and the amount of girls in there is phenomenal compared to how it used to be. Why are you sneaking round the back because you're late? So it's definitely growing and growing, and we'll get there. But at the moment, because there's not that depth of quality, it's easier to make those matches. Rather than it is in the men's, but nevertheless, it might be in a roundabout way. We might get these bigger fights in the men's thing because they look at it in the way that they go. The women are showing us up here. They're all fighting each other. They're all putting all the titles together and getting undisputed. And to be fair, the promoters are working together as well because we've seen so many undisputed title fights recently, and that means that everyone's on the same page. We're all trying to create this reputation for boxing in a positive rather than a negative.
Yeah, hopefully more of that comes out. Jack Catterall, we've got to touch on him. I saw him leaving, unfortunately, quite quickly as we all walked in. Finally, he's getting his rematch with Josh Taylor in February. How pleased are you from his point of view that he's getting his chance at, I suppose, not really redemption, because majority of everyone thought he did his job that night, but how pleased are you for him?
Well, listen, the deal's agreed. Until I see it announced, then I still won't believe it. But by all accounts, it's done, and like I said, they've all agreed, and it's going to happen in February. So fingers crossed it will. I believe it will because I know both fighters want it, and everyone wants to see it. So hopefully we get to put them wrongs right.
In terms of boxing, do you sometimes get not disheartened? I'm trying to think of a stronger word, because I saw your reaction to after that fight. No, but I'm sure it was much more that night. Because I saw you there. I was there for the fight. I saw your reaction on Sky Sports, and it was everything was thought about what you were saying. There was no kick-offs. Whereas in my head, I'm watching it from a media. But do you sometimes just think, why do I bother?
Yeah, exactly, and that's how I felt that day. Even more so, I felt like going, fuck this. What is the point? Just walking away. That's why I was really controlled on Sky, because I didn't want to swear. Because I think that takes away a lot of the time from the actual point you're making. Yeah. And I think the best point was about my son. My son's actually got his first fight next week. Yeah. But my son actually walked along with me out of the arena going, why do I love this sport? That was his words. Yeah. And if that's my 16-year-old son at the time thinking like that, then that's what I said in the interview. All the 15, 14, 13-year-olds watching it on TV at home probably thinking the same thing. Well, I work all my life to get to that point and then get it snatched away. And it's true. Why?
Because even when you get to that point, it's not just a world title. That was to have that moment of undisputed, every belt on your arm. Whereas now, Josh, he says he's giving up the belts to make the fight, but he still never have that undisputed moment back.
He won't, but, regardless, he'll be a world champion. Ring Magazine belt will still be on the line. So that's the sort of linear champion belt. And it's more than the belts now because of what happened last time. Jack and Josh have got this needle going, which a lot of the time is created by controversy, and I've been in boxing so many years now that you see this, and then afterwards you sort of, it's very amicable, and I'm sure they will be eventually. But at this moment in time, they're banging heads together and they hate each other. So it creates that needle, creates the drama, and it makes for better fights.
What do you make of Josh's come out and said he's changed trainer? Obviously, Ben Davison was in his corner for that fight. He's changed over. What, from your point of view, what do you make of that? Because you made a point, not to take away from October's interview. Shout out to October Red, because I did overhear that point. You mentioned you don't have fighters leave this gym. You have.
I've just realised that now.
So you don't have fighters leave this gym. I think you mentioned one that moved back because of sponsorship and financial reasons, that's not technically leaving. That's just a must do. What does that sort of say about yours, and what do you make of him making that change?
Do you know what? Until you've walked in someone's shoes, then you shouldn't judge. So I don't know what the situation is, what goes on behind the scenes, what the conversations had. You know, watching the stuff in the corner when I've watched the fight back, you see, you know, you hear a little tiny window of what's actually being said. Yeah. So you can't judge, but actions speak louder, don't they? So when don't forget this though as well. Also, fighters feel like, and this is, I'm including myself in this, when I was boxing, you think that the world revolves around you and everything revolves around you, and you're the most important person in the world, which you have to, because it's the most selfish sport in the world. 100%. But that's not how life works, and there's other scenarios around that situation, especially from a coaching point of view. If you've got a busy gym where other people have got to be considered as well, and you as a fighter want to be the only one who's considered, and it doesn't work like that. So, but listen, if Josh feels like he's got to move, then you should move, because, and I've said this to my fighters, if you feel like you need to leave this gym, then you should leave, because I'm never going to get the best out of you. I will never get the best out of you. If you're in this gym questioning, do I want to be here? You're not committed 100%. So it's best for you to leave. Whether other people are around or whether it is actually in your best interest is irrelevant, because at that moment in time in your mind, you don't think it's the right thing, then you're not going to perform well.
Absolutely right. 2 more points from me. Announcement apparently is imminent for Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora. Can I get your opinion on that fight? Everyone were hoping to see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. It's fallen through. I suppose this is going to be more of an exciting build-up in comparison to a Mammal Cha, but what's your take on the fight?
Obviously, I'd rather see Anthony Joshua v Fury. Chisora's sort of well past his best, but you know he's still a live opponent. But I don't think anyone wants to see it in terms of from an excitement point of view. I tell you what, I do think from Tyson Fury's point of view, I think he's giving Del Boy that payday. You know, send him off into the sunset for having a fantastic career, being a character around the scene for so many years. So in many ways, I don't begrudge him that. You know, I think to myself, you know what, fair play, go and do it. And he's creating history. I only seen this yesterday, but he'll be the first heavyweight champion ever to have 2 trilogies. Yeah. So
it's not daft, is it?
He's not daft. He knows how to sell himself. And if we're not going to see, listen, I'd rather see Chisora than Cha. Yeah, I'd rather see that. So it's not the pick what everyone wanted. Yeah. But if we're going to send Del Boy off into the sunset with a big payday, then why not?
Absolutely. Look, Jamie Moore, thanks for talking to Into Boxing, giving us some of your time. We'll look forward to seeing Chantelle do her thing in the ring today, and we'll catch up later on.
Cheers, pal.